I'm your host, Shawn McIntyre. I am fired up for today's guest. He is a celebrity fitness trainer, a best-selling author, award-winning TV host. He's appeared on Rachel Ray, The Dr. Oz Show, and Steve Harvey. He's known as one of the most ripped and respected fitness models and performance experts in the industry. I can't wait to dive in. I want to welcome to the show, Obi Obadike. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot, Shawn, for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity and being invited on your show.
Oh my gosh, when we connected, I really love this opportunity because it's not every day that we can have somebody who is a high performer himself and a natural athlete who has competed and won. And to me, that's the voice, that's the experience, that's the knowledge that I think out of a world that's becoming very noisy can be a voice that we can amplify. And so, oh my gosh, thank you for being here.
No, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to having some fun in this interview.
Absolutely. I didn't realize off the bat, but we actually competed in the same federation, and
Right,
I know that
correct.
seemed like another lifetime, but
It does.
yeah, it's funny how as big as the world is, how small it can be, and so yeah, I know we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, I think the fitness world is very, very small, and you think that you're separated from people, but you're actually a lot closer to people. And someone always knows someone who knows someone.
1,000%, 1,000%. We were just talking before we went live here, and obviously there's, I don't want to call them rules, but there's ways that we show up in the fitness industry. There's a certain knowledge base, there's a certain experience. And then it's funny, isn't it? Because it seems to filter out to maybe, I don't want to just say to the masses, but to people who aren't in the fitness industry. And so they hear a bunch of things that they might sort of poke at and try in their own life. But maybe we can just sort of, dive into, hey, what is the fitness industry from a natural perspective? Because that's the perspective that I really valued going through the industry as well, and also how this can really relate to, people who are just, they're working, they're with their families, they're trying to live their best life, and we can sort of, cover
Right.
both.
Yeah, you know what? I'm an advocate of doing it naturally. I talk about it all the time. I do understand that if you've got great genetics and you've pushed your level to your limit and you get in great shape for a photo or a competition, and every average person sees your image, like, oh, he's got to be on something, right? But what I can say is that it just never was my thing. I was always so scared about putting a foreign substance in my body. So that was, thankfully, the fear of that made me not want to go that route. And then I just saw it as cheating. It's cheating. Yeah. And I look at it as, I don't want any help. I want to see what I can look like at my very best. It's like the idea of, like, when you do a photo shoot with a photographer named Jason Ellis, very well-known guy. And hopefully he doesn't get mad at me saying this. And so you do it, you get in the best shape possible. And then he takes this amazing shot, and you see it through the viewfinder, and you tell the photographer, please don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't edit it. That's it. I want to post, don't even edit it. I want to post it, unedited. Okay?
Wow.
Because I don't want any help. And I want to show people, what can you do? This is what's attainable. Okay? Like, I didn't do nothing. This is what's attainable. Food, exercise, supplements, that's it. And so what I do is I try to now where everybody is so celebrated, the enhanced is so celebrated, the natural guy isn't celebrated because he doesn't stand out uh, in regards to the enhanced person. So what I do is I try to be honest with my height, my weight, and I break it down and say, look, my my fat free mass index, my FFMI says I'm at 24. Okay. 24 to 25. 25 is the max. You're anything above 26, 27, you're more than likely taking stuff, you know? So I already know already what's achievable and what's not naturally. So when someone posts an image and they say, well, I'm 5'11, 240, and he's single digit body fat, he's claiming natural. I'm saying, he ain't.
Totally.
As soon as he put his numbers, and then I look at the photo like, no way. Okay.
Dude, I love what you're saying. Like, honestly, no, like, we could just go down this road, and I think this is going to be such an incredible conversation. I so agree with you, because if you could imagine fitness competitors, and there's a variety of different federations, so that's great. But for somebody to truly know what they can do and achieve, that's why I love what you're saying. If you can know, because if you look at somebody else and you're like, oh, I can never get there, or there's nobody showing me the way naturally, you're automatically, there's a limitation on where real health, real transformation is going to occur.
The biggest motivators are, in my opinion, for the average fitness enthusiast who wants to get in the best shape possible. If you look at it, the realistic motivators are the natural guys. It's not the enhanced version, because there's no way you can look like that, right?
Got it.
So, but then you got people lying, right? Because they're trying to sell products, they're trying to sell programs. So that's where the fraud comes in, you know? So I'm trying to be as honest as possible. I'm very honest about my age and say, hey, this is what I look like. This is what I used to look like. My numbers have not changed over the last, I'm not gaining muscle in my 40s and 50s. I'm at my genetic max potential. So what am I doing right now? What we're doing is we're preventing the decline. That's all we're doing. Right? So we're all we're all going to experience the aging decline. We're just slowing the process up with our lifestyle, positive lifestyle habits. That's it. I'm trying to slow the freaking curve. You're trying to slow the curve, and that's it. But time, as they say, Father Time is undefeated. We're just trying to slow the undefeated part.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh, bang on. So you said a lot just right there, Obi, and I want to just sort of point at it if I can. So think about the person who is putting the meal plan together or the workout plan together, who's, right, no judgment, it is what it is, but they may not be natural. And so they're giving nutritional and workout. If you're trying to be natural, that's already a bit skewed, isn't it?
It is skewed because their reference point is off of an enhanced reference point. You know what I mean? It's off of an enhanced. You can't use yourself as an example because your whole progression has been from an enhanced perspective.
Totally.
So how could you even really create a program for someone who's natural when you're using yourself as a reference point? Unless you've got case studies of people you've actually trained naturally, and you've got case studies to validate what you're talking about from a natural perspective. I do think, and I don't want to talk bad about the enhanced person, but the only way I think it can work is if the enhanced person is honest about what they've done. Number two, they only have trained people that have been natural, and they've got case studies on people they've trained naturally, and they're honest about what what they did naturally, and then once they started the enhanced version, and now I'm on TRT. But by the way, I trained people naturally, and these are my case studies. Okay, and this is what's possible naturally, right? Lifetime, the most you could probably gain is 40 to 45 pounds naturally from someone who's never worked out. Okay, and then myself, I started the enhanced version when I was 25 or whatever. Probably wasn't at my genetic potential, and now this is what I. So I feel like the enhanced version, the only way that they could maybe relate in terms of creating a program for a natural is you have to have case studies to validate that, and you have to be very, very transparent of what you did naturally versus the enhanced. And then once you got off the enhanced, now where you're at now, and what you're doing currently, you have to be.
I love that. So integrity, coming back to integrity and honesty, dude, love that. That's bang on. Because a natural athlete is going to perhaps struggle with different things, maybe like mindset, like focus, like what happens when, right? Even emotionally, like what part do those play when you're trying to layer that into working out physically with a meal plan and trying to be healthy? There's a difference in that alone, isn't there? Just what you're going to go through mentally and emotionally.
Well, I think so. I mean, I definitely think so. I think that I think from the emotional perspective is probably the patience, is having patience, because what happens is, as a natural, and you're trying to, the whole transformation process, there's the highs and the lows, and it never happens fast enough. Okay, it never happens fast enough, and so I think that's why someone who's natural, who's influenced by social media, and they see someone who looks like $1 million, but maybe they're probably taking stuff. They're comparing themselves to what they see on social media, and they're like, God, how come I'm not getting there quicker? So the emotional part can't deal with, doesn't have the ability to deal with the patience of building, muscle, right? Like, we all know our formative years, those were tough, man. When you first started working out, I remember when I was 17 and I had never touched a weight, and it never, I don't recall it being happening quickly. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of time for me to really be comfortable with my shape. And I could see how easy it is in this era to gravitate to PEDs because of the influence of social media. When you and I were, 18, 9, there was no social media, right? Yeah. We were influenced by the magazines, but now it's on your phone. So you're probably more influenced now to go the dark side than you did back when we were in our era as kids.
Bingo. That's so bang on, Obi. And I want to be just right up front and honest with everybody listening here. I am the one poking and prodding you. So anything that's coming out about not being natural, okay, that's on me. I know that you don't speak ill of anyone or anything. I'm just eliciting some information, just fact finding. So I just want to make sure that
it's all good. Right? the only issue that I have of somebody that's not natural, the only thing I have is just be honest. That's it.
Yeah.
Because this is why I got to give him props. I love Dorian Yates because this guy is so honest about what he's done.
Yeah.
And he's so over it now. Now he's on the wellness side doing the yoga, and he's like, that body was just for competing. And once he got off it, he was done. And Lee Haney, I just think those guys, I think when people can be honest about what they've done versus somebody who's just BSing, and that's the issue that I think people have is the lack of integrity, not the fact that they're doing it. If you want to do it for vanity reasons, I understand from competing if you're going the IFBB route, because to be on that stage and be successful, you have to. For vanity reasons, if that's what you want to do, fine. There's risk involved in that. But I think that if you're going out there promoting yourself and promoting your programs, I do think that you have a responsibility to be honest, especially if you're using yourself as a reference point to basically sell programs. You know,
Love that.
that's the issue that I have.
Love that. Love that. 100%. And you know, I want to just sort of say, like, you're just talking about life now. Like, okay, great. Maybe we messed up in so many areas of life. Great. Just be honest. That's what we're here. When you talk about, you know, Father Time has never been defeated. I think that is more linked to wellness. Just, I think that gives a better mindset and emotional set if we're not hiding, that we can just come out and be like, oh my God, no, we're just doing the best we can. Now I think we can all, I think everything can enhance itself naturally in that regard. So I love what you're saying, man. Bang on.
And I also think I was having a conversation with a guy yesterday, Morris Mendez. I think he may be the greatest natural bodybuilder ever. I've never seen anybody with that amount of muscle, with the amount of muscle he has naturally. And I was speaking with him, and we were just talking about. I'm having a brain fart, but we were just talking about what's realistic versus what's not realistic, and he was just telling me, just some of the issues that he always had when he was competing, and guys were not natural competing in natural shows and stuff like that, and it always just bothered him. It's like, hey, if you're not natural, then just go down the other route. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting.
Absolutely. And just on that point, that was the one thing when I was competing, I was like, okay, well, I do want to compete, with the best, and I want to see how well I can do. And so that to me was just my own personal, okay, let's see what we can do. I got into the game later. I started at 38, going against, people who were, half my age in some respects, right?
Right.
And but I think you're bang on that. That's how we really learn. That's how we can really learn, is to put ourselves into that situation and what is possible. And I want to take this to the other side of the coin here just for a second, because we're talking about high performance on one side, but there's also this other side that I think to just shine a light on. Again, no judgment, no anything, but people who aren't, say, high performance, but they're, again, trying to sell, say, programs or certain ideas that, again, I don't think it hits the mark. They're not really trying to push the limits naturally. They just might have certain ideas, and that may not actually work either. Why don't we talk about what's your experience being a competitor versus, people, they don't have to compete, but what are some of the things that, hey, be aware on this side, for people who are just trying to sell something and they don't want you to try and, actually.
So you're talking about someone who maybe they haven't pushed themselves aesthetically, but they're selling programs anyway, and maybe they don't look the part. Is that what you're saying?
Bingo. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually posted a video about this the other day, and it was that so it's interesting, like, when we evolve, like, I wouldn't have said this when I was competing, but now evolving from being a fitness competitor to being more of an expert and a science-based guy, I have realized that some of the smartest people, some of the most science-based, evidence-based experts never stepped on stage. In fact, they weren't the most aesthetic person in the world, either due to not having the best genetics, or maybe they don't train like that. But they're some of the smartest people. I mean, these guys have thoroughly read PubMed studies and know more than and know a lot. So I always say, what I say is that just because somebody looks amazing doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. just because somebody doesn't look amazing doesn't mean that just because someone that doesn't look ripped or shredded doesn't mean that they don't have the knowledge in terms of being able to educate someone on and being healthy and fit. So I think the most important thing is to really look at their case studies, look at the information that's coming out of their mouth, look at, just what they say, the information, the content. Yes, being in shape is important, but I don't think that is a minimum requirement to be aesthetically fit, because my experience has shown me that the ones that have been the most aesthetically fit weren't really the most knowledgeable. Like sometimes someone can have super great genetics and they know what to do, and they don't even have the best training methods, but it's worked for them because they have such great DNA. But in terms of them creating content or helping someone, the everyday average person, to be healthy and to be more fit, they don't have that ability. It doesn't translate because they don't know the science behind what they're, you know what I mean?
Totally.
So that's where I say be cautious of aesthetics, meaning that equals knowledge, because it does not.
Bingo. Exactly. And especially if we layer that in with, supplementation from the outside in. And, again, I want to just, you have a Master of Science degree. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So again, that's very important in what you do, in the perspective that you come from. What's really interesting right now, Obi, is we look at, TRT, we look at, I don't know, it's sort of the new buzzword or the new kid on the block with peptides everywhere. We can look at peptides being natural, but what is your opinion when we're taking something from the outside in order to enhance? There's positives and perhaps negatives to it. Is that correct?
What? This is what I would say is that I'm only an advocate of that is if your baseline let's say your baseline testosterone levels are like below 300. They're just it's non-existent, right? Because of either the genetics or a medical condition. Yeah. And then you're taking TRT just to get them to baseline levels. Right. So from that perspective, just to get them baseline, I don't have an issue with that at all, because now you're just talking about just being having the same testosterone levels as the average person. And some people do have low testosterone levels. And I'm not talking about the ones that just took massive steroids and then all of a sudden their natural testosterone levels doesn't produce anything anymore and they have to. I'm talking about the person that just for whatever reason, genetics or medical condition or whatever, their testosterone levels they're not producing average baseline levels. So now they're taking TRT from a doctor, right? Yeah. Prescribed from a doctor, not these freaking clinics where anybody can get TRT now. And now they're going above 1,000. Now it's not TRT anymore. Now it's enhanced, right? Absolutely. So that's kind of where I'm saying is that you're trying to get it to functional levels. That's that. And so that's the thing. That's where that's my opinion,
I love that. No, I love that. Absolutely. And I so appreciate that. Let's take this into a certain, I want to take this because I got a flood of questions that came to me, right before you were going to come on. And it's, what is your perspective, Obi, on how's your journey been going through health and wellness, 30s, 40s, 50? You just turned 50, I believe.
Yeah, I just turned 50, yeah. So what I would say is, like, I feel like when I think all of us, when we first came in the fitness industry, you get caught up in the I want to be shredded and ripped as possible, and I want to showcase how great I am and how ripped I am. And so I
Totally.
got caught up in that wave
Absolutely.
because at that particular point in time, that was what got you attention. That was what got you notoriety. That was what got you in the magazines. That's what made people take notice to you. So when no one knows who you are and you're trying to get recognition, you just at that time in that era, you posting science-based stuff is not going to get you attention. You had it was your body. I hate to say it.
True.
Now it's different now with social media now. But at that time, you had to look. So I at that time, my focus was being the most shredded and ripped person in the world.
Yeah.
That was my whole focus. You know, even though that's all subjective. And then once I left the competition world and I started to really evolve into mainstream and trying to get mainstream opportunities as a TV host, I realized that being the most shredded and ripped person, as far as that moniker and brand, it was hurting me. It was hurting me as far as getting those opportunities because I wasn't relatable. So having the most like some crazy image, you know, in your press kit with you looking shredded and ripped, and you're talking to someone that is making a decision on wanting to make you a TV host or have you on the show, they're like thinking, I don't know if my audience is going to listen to this guy. He only appeals to bodybuilders, right?
Yeah.
So I had to make that transition. I made the transition, and I literally, this is crazy. I removed everything that I did in the fitness competition world, WBFF. At that time, winning a world title was very important. I literally removed it from my bio, starting all over again. Okay, been on these covers. I really want to see if I could, transition into being a TV host and get mainstream health and wellness opportunities. And so in the process of doing that, I really started to focus more on wellness and longevity. And really, I felt like if I was really going to reach as many people as possible, I had to really focus more on the wellness and longevity as opposed to the shredded and ripped. And that's kind of why that I don't think it's a bad thing to post images of yourself, but I do not do it as often as I did back in my fitness competition days. It's like been there, done that, right? People know I'm in shape. Once in a while, you want to show, okay, I'm still in shape, and you want to motivate people in your age background. But I think people can get over you if you're always posting that. So I post more content and tips and videos as opposed to images of myself, how shredded and ripped, because I'm trying to relate to the lowest common denominator, the everyday average person.
Love it. Love it. Obi, that's incredible. That really, let's take that even further, because that was my experience too, by the way. And that's why even getting in and doing a TV radio show, it's like, okay, no, it's now about, okay, what are the things that I've learned? What did my path show me? And, so a lot of the questions now, it's like, okay, so what does it mean to even be healthy when you move into your 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond? Like, what would you say, Obi? It's like, what are even the metrics that we
look what you know what's so funny? So this is that's such a great question. So when you're 20s and your 30s, you're focused on body fat metrics, right?
Yes.
And then when you get your 40s and 50s, you're focused on blood pressure markers, cholesterol markers, right? Like those markers are like, now I'm challenging. I want to, every time I get my blood work done in March, I want to see if I can beat my health markers from the last time blood work. I don't care about the body fat. I know I'm lean. That's not my focus. Is those because to be honest with you, let's just keep it real. The true data to show how healthy you are is not your body fat. It's those panels, bro. That's gonna tell you the truth.
It's true.
You
That
know,
is
it's like
true.
the guy that's shredded and ripped on stage, right? And he looks like, oh my God, this guy looks so amazing. Then he gets it, then his markers look like garbage. The most unhealthiest person in the world, right? Because
Bingo.
he's so emaciated, he has put so much trauma to his organs to look like that body on stage. And so people who look like they look at that image on stage and they think, wow, he's super fit, he's the most fittest person. Is he really? Is he
Totally.
really healthy? No, he's not. He's the
No.
reverse.
Yes.
The reverse. His kidneys are screaming because he's taking diuretics and his organs are taking an impact and stress. His heart's taking stress. We all know that.
Yep.
His kidneys are taking, right? You
Absolutely.
know. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, I love that. And that's such a key point. And I think some of the markers on top of that, that just anyone who's listening right now would be like, okay, well, how well am I sleeping at night? Well,
Yeah,
how's my
absolutely.
energy through the day? How's my mental clarity?
Right.
Do I have dips in my energy? Right?
Sure.
Like,
Right. Well,
to
and I
me,
think
those
that's
become
why
the
these Apple watches are so. I have an Apple watch, and anytime I wake up, it'll say, "Obi, you didn't do too well in your sleep." You know, it'll literally like give me this warning. You know, this like slap. You need to do better, and it's kind of pretty cool because then you wake up, and then some days you wake up and you feel really good, and it gives you this score. Oh, you slept well. Like, yeah, I know I slept well. I feel pretty damn good. So I think these Apple watches are amazing. It tells you resting heart rate. It tells you your tells you how much sleep, and it gives you a lot of those health data that you wouldn't be able to track without having a smartwatch.
I love it. And so yeah, when we look at technology and everything that's available, yeah, um let's take advantage of that stuff because that can really just help keep us focused on, you know, the right things that's going on inside of us. I don't know about you, but I want to just bring this up while I got the opportunity to have you here. I've never heard more than I have in the last year from the people around me about our nervous system, about, the way our emotions and our mind um, are optimized by our nervous system. And how important would you say, even when it comes to a workout or like there's nutrition and that's great, but working out and even our nervous system, like proper rest and recovery, I think that there's a massive part to this rest and recovery, either, giving yourself, how do you actually rest and recover? So your nervous system can like
Sure, sure.
recalibrate hormonally, right?
Right. I think that there's a thing called I've said this to clients and I say this to people. There's a thing called diminished returns,
Yes.
where if you work out, if you get past a time frame, if you get past a duration of time in the gym, it doesn't serve you any good. And so, what is that, right? And so, I personally think this is just my opinion, and I know everybody's different,
Yep.
but I don't. I think if you're in the gym, cardio and weights, I think if you're in the gym more than an hour and 40 minutes, it might be too much, unless you're training for a competition. 2 hours cardio and weights, anything beyond 2 hours is just, I think it's clearly overtraining. What I try to share with people, I think the most important thing is the human body is amazing, and I think you have to trust the signals it gives you. It will
Mm.
tell you that you're maybe doing too much when you're sore, or when
Yes.
you're tired or when you're fatigued. So as important as it is for working out, it's just your rest is just as important. It's like you're tearing down your muscles and then now your muscles are rebuilding and repairing itself while you're resting. It's like tear down, rest, repair, right? So it's a process of tearing your muscles down and then repairing and building when you're resting or whatever. So um, I when I've talked to friends, people that I know, and and they tell me, someone that I know, I won't put her on blast, but she told me, oh yeah, I work out 7 days a week. I'm like, when I hear that, I always just shake my head like, for what? Why are you working out 7? It's for mental clarity. I'm like, no, you got to give your body some rest. What the hell are you working out 7 days a week for? And so that was what I used to do when I was like a teenager in my 20s. And I'm like, it may be because I don't have this obsession with exercise anymore as I did back in the day. I just want to get in and get the hell out. I'm done.
Yes.
So I think there's a thing called diminished returns. And so, yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely. Diminished returns. That's also on the other side though, too, which is, somebody may not be moving enough, right? Like there's sometimes, just going for a walk, that could be a great start where some people are at. Love that.
Right.
But then there's also, as we get into, 50s, 60s, would you still say it's like 3 to 4 to 5 times a week? It's like, nah, we still got to break down our body so we can rebuild it.
Well, right. Well, it's interesting because, the American Heart Association, they recommend to exercise to maintain a healthy heart 150 minutes a week. So that comes out to 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week of walking just to maintain a healthy heart.
Right.
And then what was interesting was I just did a video on zone 2, and zone 2 is basically the intensity of when you're working out. Let's say you're doing cardio and you can still talk and walk at the same time, and you're still in the fat burning zone. I think that comes out to being about 60 to 65% of your maximum heart rate. So I think what's really important is us extreme athletes or as aesthetic people who are still functional and our knees and our joints work and we probably can still do athletic things is and this is where I had to admonish myself is to make sure that we are saying it's okay to walk for your cardio if you're older. Yep. Because not everybody can do the intensity like us, like jogging or sprinting. They just don't have the joints anymore.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And so I think it's important for us to say, let's create a routine that meets your level, your physical capability, as opposed to saying because they can't do what we do, that's not working out.
Totally.
And I've seen people that have done that. And I have to say that I one time said that joke a couple of years ago. I can't see why people doing a grandma walk. And I didn't mean for the one who's people in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I meant for the bodybuilder guy. Like, are you really an athlete? You know what I mean? Like you're doing this slow grandma walk,
Totally.
But I guess because they're carrying so much weight, running is heavier on the joints. So now my mindset is so much different now, is like trying to say that exercise on any level is a good thing. And let's wherever you're at, start off slow and then gradually, but ideally if you can get it to a point, let's just say that jogging is not really good for you, but if you can get it to a point where you're doing a fast walk, that's zone 2. And to be honest with you, if you're a fast walker, that zone 2, that might even be a little bit higher than zone 2 because you might have problems talking and walking fast at the same time.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think that's what's important I think is trying to let people know what is the right intensity level where it's eliciting results. Yeah. What is that, right? And I think that zone 2, the zone 2, pretty much just about almost any person that has 2 legs can do that. Cardiovascular wise.
That's true. Absolutely. Again, thank you. This is amazing. One of the other things that I really hear, Obi, is, and I noticed it as a kid, where you pull open, whether it was your grandparents or friends' parents or grandparents, you open the cupboard door and you got all the cupboard full of like, vitamins and all these things going on. When it comes to the supplement world, and again, there's no not putting anything down, just what would you say around the supplements to, again, here's a baseline, everyone based on what we got with food and our lifestyles at different ages, what are some of the things that you would say, hey, these supplements are they're sort of like the baseline?
Sure. Well, I'm kind of a big advocate on food as medicine.
Yes.
And so
Thank
I
you.
feel like supplements they're only really meant to supplement what you're not already doing. It's supposed to assist. But honestly, what people don't say enough is that if you're eating in a balanced way, you don't need supplements. I was on whey protein and creatine, and because I'm going to get my blood work done in March, I got off that for more than 3 months. And to be honest with you, my weight hasn't changed, my strength levels haven't changed. To be honest with you, I actually feel harder. I feel better. I felt like with creatine, I just felt that it had this little watery look, even though I wasn't taking that much.
Yep.
I felt a little more dense, and I wanted to use myself as a case study.
Totally.
I wanted to see the difference if I'm not taking a whey protein supplement, I'm not taking creatine, I'm just getting all of my nutrients from food. Would my body change? And it hasn't. In fact, I feel better. That's kind of, and I'm not anti supplements. I'm big on supplements because I do think that most North Americans, the studies have shown, they're not eating enough healthy foods or eating in a balanced way, nutrient wise. A lot of people do need supplements because they're not eating the right foods.
Bang on. That's so well said. Honestly, I love that. And I think water is such a key tool, not just because we need hydration in ourselves and everything like that, but it's a key tool to recognize how well you're absorbing, how well you're circulating. And it's pointing at your nutrition. So, thank you for saying that. I feel that's very profound. And you said something else, Obi, which I think is very critical beyond the calories, beyond the macros, is this nutrient value that we're actually taking. Yes, calories and macros, these are great baseline tools to hit.
Right.
But I think the food quality is a major one. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. I was talking to this friend of mine, that natural bodybuilder I tell you about, I always tell him I think he's the greatest natural specimen ever. He's just a really great guy, but he was telling me like, yeah, it's so expensive to eat healthy. And this is a guy who is, he does well, but I thought, wow, if this guy could say this and he's not poor, that's a true statement. That the way our society is set up is economically, it's more expensive to buy healthy food.
Yeah.
So that's probably the main reason why this country is so obese and so overweight. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It is that. And this is why, the GLP weight loss drugs are so popular.
Yes.
Right now.
Absolutely.
Because now it's like, we've got these drugs that are popular, and we have a quick fix society. So, and they typically want to succumb to popping a pill and pulling a needle, and then boom, you lose weight.
Totally. I love that. That's a tremendous answer. Again, thank you for your time. If you got time for, I got
no, 100%.
Hey,
give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yes, of course.
Give me a second.
Of course. This is really key what Obi's saying here, and so I really appreciate Obi when it comes. We're talking about food here. Is there and how difficult it is to actually eat properly, if I can say it that way, or nutritionally, as we become more optimized and we sort of get our numbers into the range. Is would you or do you see, even from your experience with working with people, hey, no, maybe 3 or 4 meals, and then as you get a little older, hey, you don't have to be eating as much. Have you found anything like that with number of meals? Are people overeating? Or
Yeah, I think that through my experience with working not only with high profile people, but everyday average people, I try to make things simplistic, and the objective is to eat when you're hungry.
yep.
And then I don't think it's possible for the everyday average person to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours. Okay, I just don't think that's possible. So I always say that eat when you're hungry. Majority of your meals, you want to get that between 12 o'clock and 6 to 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And everybody's different. Like for myself, I'm not a big breakfast person.
Yep.
So I kind of do that intermittent fasting, whether it's intentional or not. But my body's got acclimated to that, where I don't, my first meal is at lunchtime. Sometimes in the morning time, I might get a small little granola bar or a protein shake, or I just drink coffee, and that'll hold me up. And then but not everybody can do that. So I always say, like, the most important thing is to make sure that you eat and you get all of your quality calories in within a 24-hour period. Whether you get those calories between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. or 8 in the morning, 8 in the morning to 8 p.m.
Right.
Whether you get that within 8 hours or 12 hours, it's not going to make a difference from a maintenance, from a weight loss, from a fat loss perspective. It's all about how it's just all about getting the calories in within a 24-hour period, as opposed to how frequent you eat. I remember one of the oldest myths that I thought was true, which is so funny now, and I think it's important to acknowledge the things that you think were true but they're not true, was the eating small meals a day speeds up the metabolism nonsense. And I used to think that too when I was competing. Sadly, and that's just not true. I remember this is so funny. I can't believe I made it. I remember going out with a girl who was a fitness person, and I went out with her, and one of the reasons why it didn't work was that I hung out with her, and every 2 hours she wanted to freaking eat. And it was like, I got to get a meal. And it was annoying.
Yeah.
Every 2 hours some bodybuilder person was her coach, and I got to get a meal. So you'd have to go back home and get her a meal. And then, she'd be in a theater and she's got her broccoli. And I thought, this is not how to live. This is ridiculous. And I was like, this is annoying. And this is when I was competing. And this sucks. And I just remember saying, no, this is stupid. Okay? This is dumb.
Oh my gosh. Obi.
We all got caught up in that, man. It's extreme.
It is.
So I think it's just like, we all want to have high quality of life. We want to look good. We want to be healthy. But we want to do it where it's not extreme.
Yeah.
The extreme exercise, extreme dieting, because the studies have shown people typically fail at that. You give someone an extreme program, it's not sustainable. So it's like, I believe in when I create a program, I want to give you as many options to choose from. When I give you a program, I want it to be meet at what you can do. You're not trying to get into the Olympics. You're not trying to do something extraordinary athletically. So let's meet you on what you can do, and then dietary wise, make it where you still can indulge and enjoy yourself, where it's not this chore of eating the bland foods every day. Because there's a lot of foods that are so tasty that are actually healthy. You just
Yeah.
need to know what they are. That's it.
Yes. Yes. And that's a tremendous point. If I can even just bring this up to you, Obi, which is, you're right. There's a lot of these diets which you're sort of set up to fail off the get-go, and it's so restricted, and automatically it's triggering your mind and your emotions and your ability to feel good, and so automatically you're pushing a boulder up the hill, just trying to eat and have a good quality of life. That's so profound, because it's what's out there in the industry.
Yeah, and what's interesting is when I've done mainstream talk shows and debunking myths, and that always seems to be real popular. It's amazing how much middle America believes in some of the dumbest myths out there. And so, like, things like eating small meals a day doesn't speed up metabolism, or eating late at night doesn't lead to fat gain. The everyday average person doesn't. They actually believe that's true. So it's fat, like us in the fitness industry. We know those basic ones, but the middle America woman in Oklahoma or Texas, she believes a lot of this stuff. So that's why it's fascinating when I've been on those platforms and I'm debunking stuff that to you and me is just like, okay, this is just basic stuff. But to the everyday average person, they're thinking, oh my God, I've never heard that before, right? Totally. So we're constantly trying to re-engineer and re-educate people on things that they should know, but they don't know because they continue to hear stuff that maybe from some influencer or whatever that really is not an expert. And so it makes it difficult. I think it's probably more difficult now. You think it'd be easier because there's so much more information, but there's too much information. That's the problem.
Yes. Well said. Well said. And so even just with that, Obi, how important is it to get started where you are, but then just, keep progressing? Like there's going to be platform or, plateaus, but right. To be able to progress, it's all about the little progress, isn't it?
I think it's I think it's very, very important. I agree with you, celebrating the little victories. And then because a lot of times, you'll get someone who says, well, I want to look like this person. I want to look like this person on social media, but they haven't really pushed themselves to see what their genetic potential is. So it is that incremental, see what is their stopping point. Can they walk around? Look, let's just keep it real, Shawn. Not everybody can walk around with abs. They don't have some people just don't have the genetics, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to be shredded and ripped, bro. You can still be healthy and well and be at 15% and still look good.
Totally.
16% as a guy, right?
Absolutely.
You get some guys like, well, I want to have abs, I want to have obliques, but let's just say maybe his genetics getting there makes him look like Skeletor, right? Because he doesn't have the DNA, he doesn't have the genetics. When he gets that single digits, he can't keep it up because he has to do everything extreme. Yeah. So what is that? Is it training? No, it's genetics. Yeah, it's genetics. Some people just have the genetics where they don't have to do much and they can still walk around being, like yourself or me, and single digits and stuff like that. It sucks, man. It's a genetic lottery, but it's okay. So what I teach people is if you can achieve your genetic potential and you can maintain that, you've won. Yes. So the goal is to be the best version of what God gave you, right? And you're not going to know until you keep climbing and keep climbing and keep climbing and keep climbing. And then now Bingo. This is my baseline. This is it.
Bingo. Right? That is gold right there. That is gold. Just realize your genetic potential by just continuing to climb, just the incremental wins, like you're saying. Obi, that's incredible. What do you have?
I'll share this with you,
Yeah,
Shawn. I'm sorry to
of
interrupt you.
course.
So my buddy Morris, and I think he's Morris Mendez. He did compete in Muscle Mania. I think he's won 7, 8 titles, and I think he's probably the greatest natural bodybuilder ever. So I think on stage he's about 5'9", 198 on stage, ripped.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
he if you look at pictures, he looks like he's an IBB body. He looks like he's probably on stuff. I swear he's not. And so one of the things that was so fascinating to me, he said, when we were talking, he said, Obi, once I get over, I'm 5'9", right? And he's probably one of the most genetically gifted people in the world. He says, once I get over 210, 212, my abs go away. I said, Morris, I wish you can say that on social media, because you saying that, you're an outlier, Morris. You saying that will basically eradicate everyone who claims they're natural who's 5'9", 230 with abs. Sorry.
Correct.
That dude is probably one of the most genetic specimens, and he can't do it.
Bingo. Bing. Exactly.
So that's where his baseline is. He knows his baseline. He knows that if I start to lose my abs at 208, 210, 215, they go away.
Yep.
But when someone's like 5'9", who stopped competing, he's former Mr. O, and I'm not going to name names, but he's not competing anymore, but he says, I'm 5'9", 240, I'm just on TRT. No effing way. No effing way. You're not. You're That's still right. on stuff. Because if you cleaned out, you'd be about 210, 205. So stop that nonsense.
Bingo. Thank you. Anyway. Thank you, Obi. Obi, you know what? My God, I swear we could go for hours, but I want to respect your time, and I so appreciate you. What do you have coming down the pipe? What are you working on
well,
now?
You know what? Obviously, I did a book with Morris Chestnut called TheCut. Yeah. And that was in 2017, and it was a diet and exercise book. So he and I secured another major book deal. And the name of the book is called The 10-Day Flat Belly Fix. It's a weight loss, gut health book, primarily for women. And that's scheduled to come out spring of 2027. And I'm really excited about the book just because it took so much time to secure the deal. And the industry has changed. The book publishing world has changed from when we tried to get our book deal back in 2015. So right now, and I say this to any health and fitness enthusiast or expert that is trying to go the book publishing world, the book publishing world, it just seems that they're only giving out these type of book deals to medical doctors. And so that was the issue with us, was trying to convince the book publishers that we could still sell and we can still be successful in the book publishing world as weight loss and diet and health and gut health or whatever. So we were able to get a couple of book publishers that saw our audiences and saw what we did with the first book, even though it was almost 10 years ago, to come out with another book. So I don't have anything against medical doctors because it takes a lot of education and time and money to become a medical doctor. The issue that I do have is that they're given too much credibility, and that DR seems to command everything. And it's like, okay, because the person's a doctor, they're automatically given credibility on everything health, which is BS. And I've seen the curriculum in medical school, and I don't remember seeing all this nutrition stuff. In fact, minimal to zero. But because they are a doctor, they're given automatic credibility on everything health, and so it's just fascinating to me. So it's that's why it took so much time. So I have this personal vendetta to make sure the book is successful, because I want to prove, because there was a lot of people that didn't want to give us an opportunity because I wasn't a doctor per se. So these book deals are really they're not being given out to celebrities anymore as it was back in the day from a credibility perspective. So
You know what, Obi? I so agree, and let's totally support you with what we have and everyone watching and listening, because you're bang on, and I so agree with you, because there's a few I'll name it from my group. There's a few doctors and in the medical field that I train as well, and they are the first ones to admit. So you're not, poo-pooing on anyone here. They're the first to admit that their nutritional studies is in the single digits in hours that they learn.
yeah,
So you're bang on. You're not saying anything that's so by you putting out the information, yeah, it's up to us to do it. And so that's awesome. So
yeah, but 100%. So right now, like I said, first of all, I appreciate you asking me about that, and maybe next year, once we get closer to the publication date, I can speak more about it. But I think anytime that you can write something, or and someone is going to uh, they're going to absorb it and apply it to their everyday life, and it has improved their life, it's really a gift. So
yeah,
so that's kind of where my transition from the cover guy or the guy that's on the stage was just trying to navigate that as a writer, as an author, as an expert. So when I first came in the industry and I was on the magazine covers, I kind of established myself as a writer from the very beginning. So anytime I got on a cover in a magazine, I always would reach out to the editor. Can I create an article? Can I create content? Because I never wanted to be just this model,
yes,
So
yes.
so that was what helped from a credibility perspective. Writing, I was a columnist for bodybuilding.com and a columnist for a lot of different fitness magazines. So I think it was probably easier for me to navigate as an author, as a writer, once I left that world. And I'm very grateful for what that world did for me, because when you come in the industry and you don't know anything, you're trying to figure out, what is your brand? Who are you?
Oh yeah.
And it takes time. It's this bicycle progressional thing
It's
where
true.
you're figuring out, am I a model? Am I a this? Am I a that? And
Exactly.
eventually you evolve. And I think what I found is, I'm just being honest. I found that the, the top the top cover models in my era, mostly once there was the death of the fitness magazines, many of the top cover models, they fell off.
Yep.
They were not able to evolve because there was really nowhere left outside of posting images on Instagram. And as I said before, that doesn't mean you're published anymore,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So I think that was probably the death of probably a lot of fitness personalities, their personalities, because they were in magazines, on covers. But once the death of fitness magazines happened, they kind of fell off.
You got it.
So I think that's why it was like, at that time. But like I said, everybody's different, man. Everybody's different. We're just trying to figure. When you come in the industry, you're just trying to figure out who you are, what you want to do, and sometimes certain people's expiration date is based off of the era that they were in. So
You got it. You
yeah,
got it. Oh my gosh. Obi, I can't thank you enough. This has been incredible. And just thank you for being so honest and upfront. And where can we follow you? Where can we pick up more of
sure. Yeah. Well, I have a YouTube channel that create content. It's called Celebrity Health Expert Obi. I post content on that YouTube channel, and then Obi Obadike can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and my website obiobadike.com. And that's it. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to come on your show. Thank you for inviting me, and you've got a great platform, and yeah, I'll definitely promote it once I get some clips from you, and I look forward to pushing it out, and hopefully anybody will benefit from it.
Love it. Obi, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. No, thank you, Shawn. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Take care.
All right. Take care.